Well, hello, Poppets. Welcome to another episode of the Poppet Pals Review. We are reviewers to some, podcasters to others.
What is he? Oh, that's not even okay.
Sorry, I thought that would sound cool. If I had like a Doug Bradley voice right now, it would sound a lot cooler. Okay, but yeah, we're two best friends who like reviewing horror films. I'm Derek.
And I'm Katie.
And this week we're talking about Hellraiser 2022
Woohoo!
because we're still playing catch up from last year.
Well, we missed so
But
many good movies in 2022.
We did. We're trying to catch up so we can hit all the new ones that are about to come at us. So this was an important one.
So many.
And one of my favorite series of all time. So I had to do it. This was my pick, everyone. Just if you want to blame this episode on someone, it was me. I did it. But we're going to get into it, but we're going to do our weekly horror happenings because that's the official name of it now because we just ran with it. And Katie, you want to go first?
Yeah. Okay. So, oh God, I gotta remember everything I did. Well, I caught up on Last of Us on HBO Max. I binge watched the entire season of Lockwood and Company on Netflix, which is more like I guess horror fantasy, like YA type, but it was really good actually. And then I watched Grim Cuddy on Amazon Prime, and then I also kind of went crazy at Books A Million and bought a bunch of horror novels that I'm really excited about. Might share on our social media. And yeah, I think that was my week.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you'll have to share like what your like book picks are.
Yeah, maybe I'll do like a book talk on our TikTok. So if you don't follow us on TikTok, go find us on there.
And I'll
share
start
my
reading
books.
so I can help.
And I'll read.
That would be helpful.
But what did you do?
I too watched The Last of Us. I'm not completely caught up, but saw the second episode. Not saying anything about it, but it was excellent. It was fantastic. Well done. Wow, the series that's based off a video game that is actually good. It's what year is it? I don't know. But yeah, it was really good. That's the only real horror thing I've done other than research the heck out of Hellraiser. I did that. So that's
But see,
that's
it's
all I
good
got
that
for
you
ya.
research because I was in charge last week and I don't research very well. So
Oh, well, it's a boring job, but somebody's got to do it. You know, you do all the fun stuff. You watch and read things, read books, and I'm on Wikipedia all the time. That's my job.
Yay.
Yeah.
So I don't have to be woo.
Yeah, but you know, that's why we're a team. Team. But we're gonna do you know, in case you just clicked on this episode randomly, we do like an overall spoiler-free review. Just kind of our overall thoughts. We'll go ahead and do that we're focusing on the new Hellraiser. This episode will go back and kind of talk about the first two films because they're kind of relevant and they're the best of the original. Gosh, how many Hellraisers have there been? I don't know, like 11. But we'll talk about those two. So
I think
overall,
more than that, honestly.
Probably now, yeah, probably like 13. I don't know, too many to count. But do you want to go first?
Yeah, so
Overall?
spoiler free, just overall. Specifically for the 2022 movie, I liked it. I thought it was really good. Hellraiser's never been. I know it's like one of your favorite series. I don't dislike it, but it's probably not in like my top 3 either. But I really enjoyed it as I guess semi fan of Hellraiser. I thought it was good. I thought it's one of the few remake / reboot, whatever you want to call it, that kind of held its own against the original, if not maybe was better in some aspects. I actually personally, just in my opinion, and I might get some hate for this, but I liked it better than the original.
No hate. No hate.
That would be my overall view. Like, I think if you are a fan, you'll still really enjoy it. It is a little bit gory in places, so if you're like a casual horror fan and you don't like a lot of gore, I mean, maybe be wary of Hellraiser in general, but
True. Yes. Yes.
yeah, but I would recommend this movie for sure.
Yeah. Same here. Same thoughts. If you're already a fan of Hellraiser, you definitely want to watch it because after getting a couple of crappy sequels from Dimension Films, I think, and maybe Lionsgate together, produced a couple to retain the rights of Hellraiser, basically barfed them out. And it's one of the reasons Doug Bradley did not return for those movies was that because he knew they were crappy. But we finally got a remake or a reboot. It's not even a remake. That lives up to the original and, like you said, does some things better. We have a great new Pinhead, lives up to Doug Bradley's legacy, and there's a lot of scenes in this that will stay with you. It's not perfect, but it's enough to revamp this series.
So at this point, if you have not watched the movie and you don't want it spoiled, you should not stop listening. Just pause us, go watch the movie, and then come back and keep listening.
Yes.
All right. Well, then let's get into it. From here on, there will be spoilers, so FYI. But yeah, let's
Please.
get started.
No spoilers. It's such a waste of good suffering. Get ready. I'm gonna do that this whole episode.
It's gonna happen.
Don't turn it off though.
Don't let that turn you off.
Don't. Okay. But spoilers. Here, last warning. We're gonna kind of because you watched the first two again. First two, you watched Hellraiser,
yeah.
and then
I had
Hellraiser
seen
Hellbound.
them before. Yeah, I had seen them before, but not in a very long time, and I have the memory span of Dory the Fish, so I wanted to rewatch them. And as I was rewatching them, I was kind of thinking, I'm not actually sure I ever watched 1 and 2. I might have watched some random Hellraiser because
Did you watch the one where he's in the video game? Is that what you watched?
No, I don't. I don't know what I watched. I'll have to go read the premise of all of them and figure out what I've watched. But I know I haven't watched them all because there's a million of them.
There are.
I have seen the first one though. But anyways, I had to refresh my memory, so I did rewatch 1 and 2 this week, and then of course I rewatched the new 2022 version.
Yeah, and I think these originals are important to talk about because a lot of things carry over, and they did take a lot of aspects from this movie. They didn't copy the story, which I'm very thankful for, but yeah, back to the first one. It's based off a novel, Clive Barker's Hellbound Heart, which I kind of read the summary of. I haven't read the novella myself, but it follows it pretty closely. I wondered if they kind of made up their own stuff. I mean, they changed a few things, like Kirsty is I think a friend of the dad and not the daughter in the book, but other than that, random things, they stuck pretty well to the book. Of course they would, because Clive Barker directed it. So of course they did. But I think, because I like talking about the good before, I get into what I didn't like. Right away, I will say the music for especially the first 2 films are iconic in my mind. Very few horror films off the top of my head have an iconic score, but those 2 do. I don't know how you felt about the music, but Christopher Young was the composer and did a really good job in my opinion. It's iconic.
That's interesting, and it might be because it is one of your top favorite series. But as a casual watcher, I'm not sure I even paid that much attention to the music, and I might get slack for that too. I'm sorry. I'll go back and listen to it, everyone.
It's very subtle. It's not in your
I
face,
might
and
have
it's not
just
like,
not. Yeah.
yeah.
It
So,
takes a couple watches for me to really zero in on stuff like that because I pay a lot of attention to like the cinematography and the acting and things like that. So music isn't always the first thing I like
well,
remember, especially since I have a terrible memory. But
yeah. It's just I just point it out because it's very it to me it sets the mood because this is more than just a
mhm.
like a horror movie. To me it's like a dark fantasy. It's almost got some fairy
Yeah.
tale vibes, and I think in the second one they even reference Snow White. I'm pretty sure if I remember.
Hmm.
Like, and it kind of sets that mood. And plus I believe because I was listening to the soundtrack in my car because I'm that person, uh, that Christopher Young did like the well, of course I think he added the like, the bell, like the chime sound before the Cenobites come
Mhm.
out, like that, which is iconic. That sound, you hear it, you think Cenobites, and like it's so good. And they, I don't know how closely you listen to the new Hellraiser, like the music in the background, but they borrowed some of that music and like kind of remixed and redid some of those sounds for the Cenobites, and like that music was in the background. It was just kind of revamped and redone, and I noticed it. I picked up on it. I was like, "Ooh, that's a Hellraiser sound."
I'll
So it
need to
got me
go back
excited.
and listen. I don't
Yes.
know that I picked up specifically just on the individual sounds and music, but I could. I did see like that similar tone when certain things happened.
But that's all I'd say about the music. But let's get more into your territory. Um, the acting, I don't know. Other than Doug Bradley, um, I don't have many good things to say.
Which one is Doug? Okay, you know I don't do names.
Oh, Doug
Tell me who that
Bradley.
is in the. Yeah, who's he play?
I'm gonna edit this
Oh wait,
out
is he
because it's
Pinhead?
Pinhead.
Okay,
That's Pinhead.
okay, okay. Well, I'm
I say it all
bad
the
at
time. I'm
names.
like, I want to
Okay.
meet him.
You can edit that out. I don't know. Whatever.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Anyways,
Nobody judge her.
besi- I'm bad with names, okay?
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you
yeah.
listen to our podcast
That's
regularly,
true.
you will know this.
That's true.
If they're not
It's
on
okay.
my celebrity crush list, I'm not going to know their
And it'd
name
be
now.
really weird if Doug Bradley was on your crush list.
But
That's okay.
the guy that plays Frank, his acting was like nails on a chalkboard to me. Oh my god, he's so overly dramatic. It's ridiculous. I was
Which
like, I know you're supposed to be the get back. Oh, in the original, in the first one. Like
yeah, he's in the
when in the
second one too.
beginning,
Yeah.
when he's like seducing the stepmom and they're like having their little love tryst or whatever.
Oh Lord.
It's just so ridiculous and cringy. Like their whole relationship is so cringy.
I fast
But
forward
I
through that
think it
now.
was just yeah, I think it was just the acting of the time, like just that over dramatic.
Very
Like
80s.
yeah, but his was like he just tried to play the character so dark and like domineering, and it just was not. It was just coming off as like bad acting. I don't know.
If I remember correctly, once it's like Frank the monster, it's one guy playing the monster, and then there's somebody else is dubbing over that, like it's a different person.
Well,
So,
it
fun fact.
Monster Him was a little bit better than just
Then
regular
voice
human him.
him.
I thought so.
Yeah. The whole jewel, like, here's the thing. For me, I think Hellraiser is like its parts are better than its whole, because the
Mhm.
whole Julia Frank story, it's you can't really get behind it. It's not very interesting to me. Like, I'm here for the Cenobites more than them.
Yeah.
And the story just focuses on them so much. Like, they're the whole plot. The Cenobites are just kind of background, like plot devices, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is
in the
kind of,
first one, you really don't even see the Cenobites like that much. I mean,
oh, yeah. Oh, well, don't worry. I looked. I fact checked.
I was gonna say I don't know exactly how long they're in the movie for, but I know it can't
they're
be that long.
they're there in the beginning. That they're after the opening scene where they rip Frank apart, where Frank opens the box,
Mhm.
and then an hour later, We get like one of my favorite scenes in horror movie history when they actually appear and appear before Kirsty. Yeah, yeah, which she kind of just falls in line with a bunch of teen female horror protagonists to me. Like she's not as good as like Heather Langenkamp in A Nightmare on Elm Street. She's not that much fun. She's kind of, I don't know. She's kind of like an every person, I guess. Like she's just kind of
Yeah, she's
ordinary.
not like a final girl feel.
Yeah, definitely not. But maybe they weren't going for that. Maybe they wanted, I don't know, her to be more innocent, and, like kind of not as capable. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking
Mm-hmm.
there. But she was okay, I guess. But nobody's performance really stood out except for Doug Bradley's Pinhead and the other
Yeah.
Cenobites. But
And I think that was maybe just like I said about Frank, like just given the time period that these movies were made
yeah,
in. I
yeah,
mean, acting has changed so much if you look at just different generations. Like the way people acted in one point in time is so different from like how they act today in movies. So
yes, true. We can blame
it,
that on the time.
yeah,
Yes. Um, I will say probably back then, like to now they're kind of cheesy, but the effects were pretty cutting edge. Like Frank's resurrection
yeah.
scene was pretty. I mean, it was gory gruesomeness, but him like crawling out of the floor and being reanimated, like
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, it's still kind of cool. It's still,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think it
holds
was
up.
good for their time. I mean, I I know I always am comparing everything now to Evil Dead but like if you look at the gore in this movie versus the gore in Evil Dead, like this movie I think for the time period did a really good job with all those bloody scenes, and
Yeah.
the amount of
Mm-hmm.
gore didn't really bother me in this movie because it was pertinent to the storyline. It made sense in the moment. They weren't just doing it to be over the top. Like it went with the
Agree.
story. It made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their special effects, honestly, like their makeup and stuff for the 80s, I think was really good. I mean, the Cenobites all look pretty real and like
Uh huh.
scary. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I think their design, especially Chatterer, because I'll talk about the new Chatterer in the remake. But I think that those versions of them, of course, some of the new Cenobites are pretty awesome. But I think those are like the iconic.
Chatter is my favorite. I would, or not like, well, yeah, I guess my favorite, but I think he's without a doubt the scariest. I don't know what it is about him, but like,
There's something unsettling about just his teeth
yeah,
chattering, like in the dark,
just his
like in
teeth going just like chomp, 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 chomp. Like, I
yeah, and that's all you
wouldn't,
hear.
like,
Um, they all look great. Doug Bradley, of course, his Pinhead, like his voice effect, when he like talks, like I think that was amazing. Like he doesn't have that effect in some movies. He doesn't sound as good. Like in the first two, like he's got this booming, commanding voice, which is like kind of contrasting to the new Pinhead. We'll talk about
mm-hmm.
her, but she does her own thing, like with the character. But
Yeah,
we'll,
it's
we'll talk
totally
about that.
different.
Yeah. But yeah, I of course that scene when they come out is one of my favorite. It's probably one of my top 3 favorite scenes of all time. Like Kirsty is there in the asylum. The lights dim, the walls glow, the IV bag fills with blood. There's like this weird flower imagery on TV that's like flashing. There's all this crazy stuff happening. And then when they come out,
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's like an orchestra, like all these strings happening. It's like an epic moment. I'm sorry if I'm getting too excited, but I really, really love that scene. It's so great, and I kind of
No,
wish there
it's
were,
okay.
I kind of wish there were more theatrics like that with them in the new one. Like I wish they were a little bit more theatrical, but it's
Yeah, they took
it's
a
a small
total
thing.
different turn, I think, with the Cenobites in the new one, and I don't think it's worse or better.
No,
It's
I
just
don't either.
different.
Agreed. Yes.
This
I
one, they
love both.
feel a lot more, I think, sadistic with like their black leather, and
It's
the
very
pins
80s.
are all silver, and it's this very like metallic, hard feel.
Yes.
But they
And
don't really do that in the new one, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
I do. The Cenobites are like scary, like they really are, because it's like. But then at the same time, watching the first one, I almost got a little bit of like a sense of like Saw a little bit, where
The
since they are
torture.
willing to make, well, not just the torture, but like
Oh, the bargaining.
when
Yes.
they're yeah, with the bargaining, yeah. Because when Kirsty, right?
Kirsty.
Kirsty,
Yeah.
they come to take her, and she said, "No, instead, someone escaped you. I'll take you to Frank."
It's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
it was like I was sitting there waiting on Pinhead to go. So you want to play a game? Like,
Yeah.
so
Or,
I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I could see a little bit of a similarity there. So that's kind of the fun thing of this movie, I think.
yeah, like the whole bargaining thing, it made them interesting because most horror movie monsters will
Mm-hmm.
they just kill you. They don't listen to you. They don't
Yeah.
care. But yeah, him like
My
yeah,
biggest
it's interesting.
yeah, but my biggest problem with the originals, that I think they fix kind of, or not necessarily fix, but like make better in the first one, just for me in general, is I don't think they really explained well enough the purpose of the Cenobites, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, these things are just showing up with this box. Like, they don't really go into big detail about like
Yeah.
why you would want to complete the box in the first. Like, who would want to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not
all
like
about
they
like
don't
this.
tell us why anyone would ever want to solve the puzzle and go through this like torture.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because Sato like masochists are the people that seek it out in the original, and
Mm-hmm.
Kirsty just kind of like, oh,
That's
my
why it didn't make quite as much sense. I think that's why I've never, like, I don't dislike Hellraiser. I like it. It's something I watch like every year around, at least one of them. If it's on TV, I'll watch it around Halloween time or whatever.
Oh yeah, perfect Halloween movie.
But that's, I
Mhm.
think, why it's never been one of my like favorite series, because I was like, they don't. Sometimes they didn't. It just didn't make sense to me. Like, why, why are we doing this? You know.
Yeah.
But I think the first one changed that for me and made me like it a lot more.
Yeah. Oh,
Or the new one. I'm sorry, the new one.
that warms my heart to hear you say that about one of my faves. But yeah.
I'm blushing.
But I think that's all
Mm-hmm.
all really to say about the first one, and
Yeah. And there's
if
really, I feel like there's not a whole lot more to say about the second one, just because it is very similar to the first one. It's all the same characters, all the same kind of 80s feel.
it, I
For me.
I think it's worse though. I do think the second
Oh
one
yeah,
is worse.
it's not as good. No, it's not as good as the original. No.
I think the story is even more all over the place in the second one than
Yeah,
it
it's
is
like,
the
why
first
is the
one.
doctor wanting to bring back the stepmom? I guess like
Yeah, because
that didn't make sense to me. Because why?
that's my
Why again?
that,
Why?
that's my tie-in for this movie because we have a obsessed rich, well, he's a doctor and a sadistic one who's obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
the box. He's got all the research on it, much like somebody in the remake. And that's why he brings he gets one of his patients to, like, cut themselves on that dirty ass mattress. Sorry, but
Yeah.
bring Julia back again. If you hate her, she's back in this one. And Clive Barker liked her so much he wanted her to be the villain of the series. I read that too, and I was like, and all the fans were like, no. And thankfully
No,
they
yeah, I
listened.
can see. I would say no as well, because
Yeah. So I'm glad that didn't happen. Uh, I'll point out a couple of things and we'll move on. The Chatterer, your favorite, right? Got a redesign on this movie. It's called Chatterer 2. I don't know if you noticed that, but I think at the start of the movie he looks like himself, and then later on in the movie he has these big weird eyes, and people did not like it because the actor had an incident on set and he demanded to be able to see. So
oh
that's
my
why that
gosh.
happened. But there's a
I
scene
mean,
there's a scene of them wandering the labyrinth, and there it's deleted, but you can actually like see him getting that as like an upgrade or something. Like the doctor watches it
Huh.
happen. So that's
I can
interesting.
see where he wouldn't be as scary with eyeballs. I think that's what
Yeah,
makes him scary is that he's just teeth.
he was kind of lame. Yeah, yeah. So that was a disappointment. But yeah, and of course the doctor, our rich man, obsessed man in this movie becomes a Cenobite, and I hate talking about it because it kills me. Of course, he like Leviathan attaches to him, and in a
Mm-hmm.
very phallic way. um, and he becomes super powerful and kills all the Cenobites, and I thought that was interesting too. I did like that about the second one, that Kirsty kind of finds out about Pinhead's past, and
Mm-hmm.
she goes up to them and kind of makes them remember who they were. And I thought that was
Right.
interesting. And they turn good. They try to defend her. Of course, they get all die. but and you see Chatterer is you see them in their human forms, and you see Chatterer is a teenage boy, and you're like, whoa. Like
Yeah.
what's he
I
doing there?
That's one thing I probably didn't like as much about the second movie is it was kind of cool to see how the Cenobites were made.
Yeah,
However, I don't know that I like the idea of them all having once been human. Like, I kind of like this idea of them being these other dimensional beings, like that were never human and they don't understand human emotion, and that's why they're just sadistic and like torture for pleasure and that kind of thing. So I
yeah,
didn't know that I really liked all of the Cenobites being humans and him like killing them all, because I thought at the end, like, to me the Cenobites should always be like the biggest bad in the movie instead of like
yeah,
something killing them. So I think that's one thing I actually didn't like about the second one.
yeah. I think there's good and bad. Like I think it's interesting because Leviathan is like the big bad, right? Like the
Mhm.
god of hell or whatever it is, like the big shape. Uh and it
The
like
shape.
the shape like recruits
Not
people, not Michael Myers, no.
not the shape.
Not that shape. Um, but like he goes out, like it goes out and recruits corrupt humans to become Cenobites, and like I don't
Mhm.
know. I think it's interesting they have a
Which I
past. I
get.
don't know.
Yeah, I see that's one thing I liked about the new one a little bit better is cuz if I had just been watching the second movie and not really knowing like the backstory of Hellraiser, I probably wouldn't have picked up on who Leviathan was in that second movie. I probably wouldn't have picked up that he was the god of the Cenobites or anything like that. And I think the new movie, that's what I like about it, is that it does tell the story a lot more clearer, I guess.
It's more focused.
That you know for sure, like that's the point of solving the puzzle, so that you can meet with Leviathan and get your wish granted or whatever. But
The rules were
that's
more
why I like
clear.
it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the rules were not super clear to me in the OG versions.
Yeah, it was just all about like pain and pleasure. Like that was it. Like there
Mhm.
wasn't much. This remake, which we're going into now. But before we do, I have to tell you this because I was saving it. Because we said the shape, we said Michael Myers, we talked about Halloween. Did you know that before Freddy versus Jason, there was going to be a Michael Myers versus Pinhead movie? It was pitched.
Ooh.
It was pitched, and the plot was that Michael Myers, get ready to hate this because everyone does. Michael Myers solved the lament configuration when he was a child and was possessed by Samhain as Samhain was fleeing hell, and the Cenobites were pursuing Samhain. So that's why they fight. Now
That
ask me
makes
why
no
that didn't get
sense.
made.
Wait, what? Wait, what? Okay, well, I'm glad that was never a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And speaking of terrible sequels, because we struggled, I mean, literally, ironically, development hell, because in 2013, Clive Barker was like, I'm going to make my own remake. Doug Bradley's coming back. All the fans were like super excited about it, and it languished in development hell for almost 10 years. This remake. So we were like
Jeez.
craving this, but we got some crappy ones. Revelations, Hellraiser Revelations was terrible, and it was just like a Dimension Films were trying to hang on to the rights. And I'm just bringing this up because I read you that quote, or I showed you that quote Clive Barker said about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about that movie, the creator of the Hellraiser series said this: I have nothing to do with the effing thing. If they claim it's from the mind of Clive Barker, it's a lie. It's not even from my butthole. End quote.
I love that quote. If I was a celebrity, I would say stuff like that all the time.
I know, right? Wouldn't it be fun? But we're podcasters. We got to keep it clean. But
Edited versions only, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so now we're talking about the remake.
Yes.
I need to
the
catch my
remake.
breath, so you start.
It's okay. You're excited about this.
Yes.
Yeah, so like I said in the beginning, I actually, as a casual Hellraiser watcher, I overall, probably comparing them, liked the new reboot version better. Because the storyline and the rules of the game per se made a lot more sense. They were a lot more clear.
There was a
people
more modern
were-
message too.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, so people are wanting to solve this box, go through was it 7 configurations or whatever?
I thought it was 6. Maybe it was 7.
Maybe it's
you're right.
6. It's 6 or 7. And to get to Leviathan, and then you can have an
Make a
audience
wish.
with your god Leviathan and make a wish, basically. But then, of course, the wishes are kind of like a
Monkey's paw.
a djinn wish or a monkey's paw. Yeah, like they're gonna give you your wish, but they're gonna be their twisted version of whatever it is you ask for.
Yeah,
So
thought
I
that
really
was cool.
liked that. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. It made a lot more sense to me too, and the storyline with all the characters made a lot more sense as well, because they are a group of friends, and so their motivation on this I thought was a lot better, because the original was literally kind of just based around the stepmom cheating on her husband with however many people. So
Yeah.
and I really liked the difference this one. In the original, they were killing people to feed Frank, or feed what's the stepmom's name? Jan.
Julia?
Julia. They
Close.
have to like feed. They are feeding them to like reanimate them or whatever. I liked this, that you actually have to feed the box itself. I thought that was way cooler. Like, you have to prick whoever with the box and give a blood offering, and it takes their blood and then configures itself into the next level. I thought that was a lot cooler than the original killings.
Yeah, it made sense. It gave the box more of a purpose, because I mean, why Kirsty solved the box in the original, other than curiosity, like, there was no reason.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Like, in
this
this
movie
one,
gives you a
it
reason.
doesn't give you an option, and it like the people that are wanting to finish it, it has a reason to do it, and then the people that happen upon it on accident, like I think, was her name Riley, the main character in this movie?
Riley, yes.
Like, this sharp knife thing pops out of the box and pricks you, and you don't even get a choice in the matter. Like, then you have to like keep going on kinda and fight the Cenobites. And I love that the Cenobites came every time someone got stabbed with the box, because then they were actually in the movie throughout the entire movie.
Because what did Pinhead say? They were like, you, or perhaps you prefer someone else, or something like that. Like, they're either
Yeah,
gonna
and so he
take you
still
or
gave
someone
that
else.
like kind of bargaining, like, we're gonna
Yes.
either take you or you can trade yourself for someone else, but you have to pick like now. they still kept
Yes.
that kind of bargaining element that the original had.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. That's always been like one of my favorite parts about Cenobites was that like
Mm-hmm.
twisted
Like
bargaining they do.
you get choices with them, but no
They're not
matter what you
good.
choose, it's gonna be their twisted idea of what this good prize is gonna be for you.
Yeah, yeah. I like that too. Um I like several things. I liked the opening because of course I got a little bit of my music.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of that remixed Hellraiser theme. All that was there. The characters for me, I mean, horror movies aren't that long. Like you don't have very long to establish people. I mean, it felt a little
Mm-hmm.
rushed, but you still kind of got what was going on. You still felt for Riley, which was the main focus. And I thought this was because Evil Dead got a remake as well with a character who was also going through drug addiction, which Riley is as well in this movie, a
Mm-hmm.
recovering drug addict. And I feel like that in Evil Dead, I mean, the message was really clear at the end, like she's killing her own demons. There's
Yeah.
some to that, but I thought this movie handled like that whole idea better. It was more interesting
Mm-hmm.
because this movie's more about like the damage addiction can do like to those around you, to me, like
Yeah,
the
that's what
trail
I was
along the
gonna say
way.
when yeah, when you were saying that you felt for Riley, I felt for her brother Matt. Like he had
Yeah,
nothing to do with this, and he ends up being the first one taken because he was trying to help her.
yeah,
And
oh, very true, very true.
yeah,
He did nothing
and
but try to help. Yeah.
exactly, and he is the first one taken because he picks up the box and accidentally gets stabbed with it. And what really sucked was at the end, like when she has the chance to, like, she thanks bring him back with the if she chose Lazarus as her prize, which of course we know it would have been like a totally jacked up version of him or something,
Yeah, he
but
probably would have
like
been a Cenobite or something. Yeah.
yeah. But it was just heartbreaking that she knew in her mind that she couldn't actually bring him back, so that sucked, and she has to live with the fact that
She got the
she
lament.
basically killed her brother. Like she got Lament as her prize, and she has to live with knowing she killed her brother basically.
Yeah, so even if you choose nothing, you still have to live in pain, is what it's all about.
And it
Yeah.
really sucks too, because I will admit, Matt is played by, and I know his name, Brandon Flynn, because he is on my celebrity crush list. I
Uh,
absolutely fell in love with him from 13 Reasons Why.
does does
But
that does that doom them if they're on your list? Does that mean they're gonna
oh
die?
no.
Are you
Cursed.
cursed?
Cursed.
Oh
Oh no.
no.
Oh
Oh
yeah, because he
god.
died in 13 Reasons Why too. Sorry if that's a spoiler for anybody, but
Oh,
yeah.
we gave spoilers. It's fine.
We gave a spoiler warning,
um
but
yes. Uh, but yeah, I thought the cast did a pretty good job. I mean, yeah,
mm-hmm.
it was definitely an improvement over the first two movies. Like all those actors, like performances
Oh
were
yeah,
way better.
absolutely way better. I will say the girl that plays Riley, she was probably my least favorite, but I think just because she's one of those actors that gets pigeonholed a lot. Like I think she plays the same character. Like everything I've seen her in, she plays the same character.
Oh, really?
Either like a drug addict or like a rougher character. I've always seen her play that role. So
Oh,
sometimes when an actor does that and I see them playing the same character and every single thing I see them in, then I'm like, ugh, okay, let's switch it up a little bit. I
that
like when an actor can go into any role, and transform their acting abilities. But I'm not saying she's a bad actress, but she, just to me, I think in my mind, I've kind of pigeonholed her as that character anyways. Um,
yeah, yeah. I could see that. That kind of sucks. I mean, you always have a job, but you're you're the same character over and over.
No, it's kind of, I'm talking about her, but it's kind of the same with her boyfriend in the movie Trevor too, because I've only ever seen him in kind of the villain role. So
I thought you called that because we watched this film together. We group watched it
yes,
back in
when it
October.
first premiered, yeah.
Yeah.
And I said he's gonna be the bad guy because he's always the bad
Yeah.
guy.
You called it. You called
I was
it.
like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a really terrible guy in Outer Banks, and so I already don't like him.
Yeah.
So the other big obvious difference was the Cenobites themselves. Like,
Yeah.
they
Let's
look
talk.
completely different. They're naked. They've
Yes.
got like this purplish skin. One other little detail I picked up on is instead of like just regular pins, all of them had those old sewing pins with like the pearls on the ends.
Yes, I noticed
Um,
that. Yeah.
And at first I was like, that's kind of a weird choice, but actually I kind of like it now because I was like, because I think pearls are so pretty, and I was like, it almost gives this like little pretty touch to like the pleasure versus pain and like pleasure in pain or whatever.
Yeah, because
Um,
they're supposed to be, I mean, they're not supposed to be purely horrific. They're supposed to be like horrifically beautiful at the same time because they're angels to some, demons to others. Like, there's supposed to
mhm.
be some appeal and horror
Yeah.
to it. Yeah. So that's interesting.
And they
That's a
made
detail.
it yeah, I like at first I was like, I don't know if I like that as much, but I think it's just because I'm so used, when you think of Cenobites, I'm so used to like thinking, leather and whips
Flesh and
style.
leather. Yeah.
Like, so, but I the more I thought about it, I was like, I gotta like it because I think it goes with the rest of their look. Like, all their skin's very like light purpley and almost like
Yeah.
alien looking in a way. Like,
There
they
was
almost
alien
look more like
vibes.
sci-fi. Yeah.
They really come
More
off
like
as
horror sci-fi.
interdimensional beings more, almost more
Yes.
so in this movie.
Which I
than
kind of
maybe the other
like
one.
because that's what they say they are. So
They are, yeah, because the labyrinth is, I mean, it's hell, but it's also like
Mhm.
a dimension. So yeah, they should look like alien-y,
And then,
especially at the end. We'll talk about the end, but there's like an alien-ish
yeah.
moment there too.
Totally alien, yeah, total alien vibes at the end.
The
But Pinhead being a girl obviously was
yes,
different. I didn't like it in the sense of I missed that deep booming voice.
they
But she was like
yes,
her own thing. She was still like held her own. She was still really creepy. So
I
it's
thought
just different. I don't think one
yeah,
Pinhead is better than the other. I like
no.
them both.
Doug Bradley's Pinhead is like this commanding, authoritative voice, and very commanding and sadistic. And she's more like, I don't know, like there's more like reserve, like it's like she comes off more of a sinister priest, like in her
Mhm.
mannerisms and stuff, like even her like hand gestures and all that, like comes off more because that's what Pinhead is, supposed to be a hell priest. I mean, I think that's what they
Mhm.
call him, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like more subtle, more sinister. Like it's more subtly sadistic than Pinhead. Pinhead, like Doug
Yeah.
Bradley's Pinhead, is more openly like, I'm gonna tear you apart. And Jamie Clayton's isn't like that. It's very toned down, and like it's more like she's playing with her food kind of type of vibe
Which I
to
kind of
me.
like.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I
Um.
thought her voice effect was cool. Like there was like, because I think Cenobites are supposed to be genderless. I don't
Yeah.
remember, but yeah, I think like it mixed like her voice and like this like deep booming like effect, like kind of a masculine undertone to it. Like I thought her voice was cool.
Which almost kind of goes back to like almost being like an alien kind of, which is kind
Yeah,
of cool.
yeah, like you don't know. Like I thought all of them were really good. We got some of the originals. Like Chatterer was there because he's a fan favorite, obviously. Did not like
which was
Chatterer.
my other that's my other con of this remake, is they could have killed any of the Cenobites and they kill Chatter, the like one other one from the OG movie that
Yeah,
people like right away recognize. I'm like, why would you kill him? Why not kill like one of the other
the
random
random
ones?
ones. Yeah, exactly. Like the one that charges them, who runs like Phoebe from
Oh my god.
Friends. Yeah,
That
just
one.
kill that one.
Can I just tell you, if I had been one of those people and they had been moving at freaking turtle speed this entire time, and then all of a sudden one just darted out like that, like it was on crack, I would have wet my pants right there in the room. Like,
Yeah,
oh
me
my god, it
too.
made me jump when I was watching it because
It
I wasn't
did.
expecting it.
Yeah, me either. Because that one looked kind of helpless because it couldn't see right. Like it had like
It felt like. You know
I
what it
thought
felt like?
what? Oh, what?
Okay, so weird comparison.
Uh huh.
You know, in A Bug's Life, when
Oh, here we
the
go. I knew we'd come back to
grasshoppers,
this.
the grasshoppers, and there's that one grasshopper that looks like it's rabbit or something, and they keep it like on a chain.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
I
talking
get it.
No! Bad grasshopper! Bad grasshopper! Go home!
I get that
It's like
reference.
that. Because all the other Cenobites are like standing up all proper and walking slowly and doing their Cenobite march, and this one's just like, blah!
La, la,
Like-
la, la. Yeah, just running at them. Like, I don't know if it's the effect they were going for, but like that one to me looked like it. I guess it was. It looked like it was smothering. Like it looked like somebody had like a plastic piece like pulled back on their face and was smothering.
Yeah.
Like I guess that was the effect.
Yeah,
I
because
was
it
like,
breaks at
man,
the
that's
end
cool.
when it like starts pushing its way through that gate. It rips and you see its actual face.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I was like, man, that's sadistic. Crazy. And we get Chatter, which we did not like. I thought this Chatter was too CG looking. I thought it looked a little cheap. I thought it looked cheaper than the OG. The OG one looked better to me, but small
Yeah,
complaint.
it didn't have as much going. Like it had the teeth and the mouth area that had been like de-skinned, but it didn't have as much going on all the rest of its body and face.
Yeah. Of course, that's a small complaint. It was still creepy.
So
Um,
I agree. I think the OG Chatter was like a little bit more scary.
1 point for the OG Hellraiser.
1 point to Gryffindor.
Yeah. And we get the female Cenobite, like this version of the female Cenobite, which I liked her. I thought she
Mhm.
was creepy. Her voice and everything was right on par with the original, like maybe even scarier. I thought
Yeah.
she was cool.
I liked
And-
all the new ones. There weren't any I didn't really like.
No, nothing came off as cheesy or, like they were all good, well-designed monsters compared to like some of the later Cenobites we got in like the 80s and 90s. Like
Mhm.
one of them was a DJ that was killed that had like CDs for hands. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But well done there. There was some good imagery. Before we wrap this up, I gotta talk about the scene with the car. It was almost like a Nightmare on Elm Street vibe, like the dream, like when the roommate, the girl, I forgot her name, gets pricked and chosen, and they're taking her away in the car, and then the back of the car slowly like pulls away, and like it's like the car's driving away without her, and the Cenobites like appear, and she's in that hallway, like, oh,
Yeah.
that was so good. That was my favorite
That
part.
was so good. And Riley
Easy.
like sees her in the rearview mirror, like just disappearing into this labyrinth. That
Yeah.
was my favorite scene too. And I love when after she is pulled into the hallway with them and they've chained her and the chains lift her up and she's doing like a back bend and looking
Yes.
at Pinhead upside down. I like the way her body is just hanging suspended in that back bend looked so creepy
Pain.
and gut. Like, that was my
Yeah.
favorite part. I was like,
That
oh
was
my gosh, that just looks cool. It looks like something from, like, I don't know, like The Exorcist or something.
Yeah, that was the first scene that I saw from this, and that's when I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be good." I was so
Good
excited,
tingles.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
that's absolutely my favorite scene of this movie.
yeah, same here. And of course, the ending, I think it wrapped up well. Like it sent that it
Yeah,
brought the message home when Riley gets the lament configuration, like we talked about
right.
earlier. Like she makes that choice, and it's just sad, and it just ends on her. Like that's the end of her story. Like she's just
Yeah.
left with
That's
her
why I
brother's
think it would
boyfriend.
be okay for this to be a standalone movie as long with these characters. I would be fine with them doing another sequel with different characters and
Make
maybe
it
these characters just make
episodic.
a cameo or something.
Yeah.
But
Episodic. Yeah,
I think
that'd be cool.
I think her story's done. I do really like Roland. He finished the box for the second time and was like, get this freaking thing out of my chest, and was like, I want the power instead. And I love that they're like, oh, well, obviously the most powerful being is us, so you're going to
Yeah.
become a Cenobite. I
Yeah.
liked that a lot. And then, of course, that really brought the alien element into it. You were kind of saying felt very alien, where they literally kind
The
of beam him
light.
on up into their ship, into the light,
Yeah.
and do all these like probing things on him, like, and turning him into a Cenobite, like taking his skin, and really it kind of looks like they're remaking Chatterer out of him, because they do the slices right by his mouth and you see his teeth. So maybe they were making him into the
I
new Chatterer.
I saw that, and I was gonna say that earlier. They remake Chatterer several times in the series. I don't know how much
Yeah, so
you've
maybe
seen the
that's
old
what they
ones,
were
so
doing.
it could be, and it looks really creepy. So I really hope that's what they were
Mm-hmm.
doing. Like a version of him would be very
And you
cool.
can the way he acts it, you can see in his eyes where he's like, he's got that mentality of the Cenobite now, where he's like, oh crap, like this isn't exactly what I was thinking, but at the same time, I'm super into this. Like he
Yeah,
played it really well.
yeah, that was excellent and a cool way to end in
Mm-hmm.
a great horror movie. So, and it was like there were a few minor callbacks, like just enough. It wasn't in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like the music and and
Yeah,
there were a
it
couple
wasn't.
of
They paid
lines.
homage to the original, but
Did
go
you?
ahead and repeat the lines. I know
Oh,
you want to.
oh, I do. Do you remember there were two lines? It was when Trevor was like making his drink at the bar. He goes, "What's your pleasure, ma'am?" That was one.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, at the end, Jamie Clayton finally, because we're waiting for some iconic Pinhead lines, and she finally, when she's lifting up Roland, she says, "We have such sights to show you." And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I was
That was so
excited
good.
over that one. I was like,
Yeah,
we do.
yeah. Final thoughts. Think
Final
it's time.
thoughts.
You
Yeah,
want to go first?
that's all I have, I think, to say about it.
That's all I'll say
Yeah,
about
I
that.
think it was really good. I think it is absolutely holds its own against the original, if not better. People that are huge fans of the series might not agree with that, but as a casual watcher of the Hellraiser series, I think it's probably my favorite Hellraiser movie, honestly. So I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, like I'm with you. I'm with you. As a whole, this movie is the best in my opinion as well. Like there's some parts of the
Hmm.
original that will always be iconic and always be
Yeah, I mean,
great,
the original,
but
when you think Pinhead, you're always going to think of the original Pinhead. But just as a movie in general, I thought this one was a lot more entertaining.
yeah, like it's stuck with me ever since I was a kid, Katie. Like when I was little, this is gonna date me real quick. Like show my age. But like when I was my mom was like checking out in Walmart when I was a little kid, I would go through the video rental store in Walmart and I would wander down that horror movie section and I would see all the VHS like Hellraiser movies and I'd be like, "My
And you were
gosh."
like, yes,
I'd be like,
that's
"This
it.
this looks like the scariest thing I've ever seen and it has hell in it, so it's got to be like forbidden. Like I can't watch it, but I'm going to." And I did.
But I'm going to. No, well, I wasn't alive when the original came out, so I don't think I really knew what Hellraiser was probably more until my teens.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
just didn't really, I wasn't really allowed when I was little to watch much more than like, you know, Rugrats or whatever, um, which
Understandable.
was amazing. But anyways,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really get into like horror. I don't think until probably like 12 or 13.
Yeah, same.
But
Same
I
for me.
remember like I don't think I watched Hellraiser until I was a little bit older because I don't know what it was that just didn't. It's not that it didn't jump out at me. I just like I don't know. I just didn't come across it until I was a little bit older.
Yeah, it takes a little while to appreciate some of the other things because, like, it's just like, oh, why do I want to watch a gore fest? Like, this is just gonna be gore,
hmm
like this and weird,
I think I
like
just
sexual
didn't go
thing.
for it. Because when I was younger, it was like I'm gonna go for the Freddy Krueger's and the Michael
And
Myers and
Chucky's,
all
yeah.
that. So Chucky, yeah,
Mhm.
Chucky. So excited for Chucky to be coming back in his TV show again. But anyways, that's for
Oh,
another
yeah.
episode. So
Another
yeah,
time,
so
yes.
that's our final thoughts. I guess that kind of wraps up this episode.
I I
Um,
agree. I hope we get a sequel, like you said, like episodic or not. I think this is going in the right direction, and they would be really be a disservice for them not to do something else, especially when we finally have a worthy like Pinhead, like somebody to follow in Doug Bradley's footsteps. Like, please Hulu,
mhm.
please continue. And before I go, like it's going, before I wrap my little spiel up, I don't know if I told you this, but I read there's in development a Hellraiser TV series for HBO. I don't know if you've seen
Oh
anything
yeah,
about
of
this,
course there is. Well,
but
didn't they like I don't know if they like remastered or what. Like I noticed there was a bunch of Hellraiser stuff from 2021 with HBO. So I didn't know if
I
they just like
I
redid it or
I wonder if they're like doing that to like try to vamp it up a little because they're going to release this series. Because guess who's behind it?
would it be Clive Barker?
No, no.
Or his
Uh,
butt?
David. Oh God, oh, gosh, never forget David Gordon Green.
Okay.
And guess who else is a writer? I'll give you a hint. Sam, Michael Daughtry, Trick or Treat.
Ooh.
Got
So
some
I
big
don't think I've
names.
ever said that, but that's one of my favorite.
Oh, we're
I guess
saving
not
that one.
scary movies, but Halloween movies. Like it's up there, top 3 for sure for me. But
Join us in October for that one.
join us in October, even though you already know I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So I just thought it was
yeah.
interesting. Hellraiser will live on in some way. If we don't get a sequel, we get a TV series. We'll get something. Let's just hope it's as good as this one.
Thank you guys for joining us on the Poppet Pals review. And make sure you go follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And we post other little random things on both of those. And I will post all the scary books that I picked up today. If you're a book lover as well, I'll put those up. So yeah, go follow us, the Poppet Pals, on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're on buymeacoffee.com. Buy us a coffee so we can talk faster and talk more about horror stuff.
Is that why you were talking so fast tonight?
uh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some coffee.
Oh,
You had
jeez.
coffee last week. We'll both have
I
coffee
did.
next episode. That way we'll talk like Gilmore Girls. It'll be super
Yeah.
fast. It'll
And
be
make
great.
sure you turn in next week for our next episode because next week is my pick.
It's a Katie Poppet pick, so be there.
It's a Katie Poppet pick, so be there.
All right, that wraps it up, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.